Well, Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Well, what do you do when you share
Welcome
such
to the
love? Well, you
104th
start a
episode of the
club, you start a
ABC
club,
Pod,
and
the
then
Adult
boom,
Book
book club,
Club
and
with
then
Taja
boom,
and
book
Russell. I am Russell.
club.
She is
And a
Taja.
podcast.
Hey.
Hey, and welcome back, everybody, to the podcast where we drink and we read things. And on this episode, we read Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. But before we get to that, it has been 2 weeks, Taja. What's been going on in your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, all my friends came and threw me an amazing birthday party. I mean, I guess technically I threw the party.
Sure.
Like did the invites and stuff, but everybody came with their frickin' A game. It was like bowling, beers and Baja. So we went and bowled and that was super fun. Um, you got me a bowling pin that everybody got to sign. It was hilarious. After you guys left on Sunday, Barry and I were driving around and there was a rummage sale where they had bowling pins. And I was like, of course, I could have got one from here for probably like 50 cents. Um,
Next time.
and it was right. It was so epic. I got everybody was in custom made t-shirts that had my face on a pickle. I am also wearing it. And Russell made a custom board game that was Farscape themed, and we did a Farscape drinking game with the best episode ever, Angie, you know. Um, and yeah, it was just awesome to have you guys up because for some of you guys, it had been since like we moved in, which was 10 years ago. So that was awesome.
Even for us, for Amanda and I, it'd been like 2 or 3 years since we've come up.
Has it?
It doesn't seem like it, but I feel
It
like
doesn't.
it's, yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
I,
I would not have pegged that if you'd
it's,
asked me like
I
how
like,
long.
we always tried to come like once or twice a year, and I feel like it's been a couple of years where it's just, I mean, it's so busy in the summer, and then the winter, it's like fucking snow
Yeah,
all the
and
time.
like post-COVID time is like the structure of time just doesn't make sense anymore, and
Very true.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, and it was amazing. The weather was crazy good, aka warm for October. And we had a ladybug infestation. It was like plague level. They've chilled out a bit because we had a frost last night.
Same.
Um, but yeah, what else? I mean, that was like the biggest thing. Oh, and they did 40 for 40, so they hid a bunch of random little knickknacks around the house and I got to find them. And there were 3D printed pickles, and it was just so awesome. I'm like still kind of on a high. After you guys left, I found another present hidden.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it was amazing. I have the best friends.
So this is the part where I come clean to you. During our last recording, I lied to you about what I had been up for the last 2 weeks because I had been working on that Farscape game
That
forever.
totally tracks. Okay, so I had like told Barry, I was like, I want to text Russell and see if he can bring the game that he made for Lee because like that was really fun. And he was like, do you think he's making you a game? And I was like, that'd be too much. That's crazy. He doesn't have time for that.
So we were talking, Lee and I were talking separately, or yeah, we were talking together. And
Separate
yeah,
from the big group.
I know. After Dragon Con. And we are like, okay, so what's the deal with this? With Taj's birthday? Do we think like we should do whatever, blah blah blah. And long story long, there's basically like, okay, we should make her game. And I was like, I was thinking the same thing, like we could do something with Farscape
Nice.
pretty easily, I'm sure. The problem I have with most of well, I've only done two now,
I
but
mean,
Lee's
that's
is
more than
well,
most people
sure.
have done.
But Lee's is very like niche to our group and it's trivia
Yes.
based. So like once you
Yes.
kind of go through those questions, the
Yeah.
replayability, you could probably get like half a dozen times, maybe more if you spread it out, who knows. But I was
Yeah.
like, I want to make something that would be replayable,
Mm.
easily replayable, like even like I don't need to be there kind of situation.
Yeah.
So that was kind of half the idea, and then the other idea was to do something D&D related, which is how
Yeah.
Hero Quest came into it. So
It was perfect.
yeah, so Lee and I were bouncing ideas off each other for weeks and going through all that. And when they came up to celebrate Neil's birthday, we
Oh
kind of like
yeah.
ironed out the
Nice.
base. And then yeah, it was a lot of Voxer, and we had like
Mm.
two or three different Google Docs that we were sharing with
Wow.
ideas, and we were reading the episode because the Farscape wiki is really freaking good if you've never been there.
I
Uh,
haven't been there in a while. Yeah.
so it's like very detailed about the episodes
Awesome.
and a lot of different things. Like they highlight different races and items and things, so that like made it easier to find stuff.
I was gonna
Uh,
say your alien game was on point.
yeah, that that was a lot of research, and like
Yeah.
we ended up stopping halfway through, or like I don't know, a few episodes in season three, because Lee
Mm.
was working forward from one and I was working backwards from
Oh
four.
wow. Yeah,
And it
okay.
was just like, yeah, it was so it was a lot. But anyway, the point is, that's why I threw in the clue game. So like the Hero Quest version of it, and granted, you know, the pieces, the painted pieces, the map. There's no maps of Moya in the world, by the way.
Oh yeah,
So
no, I'm not at all surprised.
somebody should figure that, because that was just trying to figure out maybe where things would lay
Oh,
out.
you did a great job.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
close
totally
enough.
logical.
Close enough. So then I was like, this could easily, as we were looking at it, it was kind of like, this could be Clue very easily, and that's much
Yeah.
easier to replay. So
That's a good replayable one
yeah.
for sure.
So I want you to bring it to Hollow Weird so we can try
Yes.
Clue.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely plan to bring it to Dragon Con too, because I think our friends would
I also
love it.
thought that would be easier to
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
there as well. Yeah. So yeah, I was happy that that came out. That was
It
yeah,
was awesome. Yeah, I
it was a
showed my
lot of
dad
fun
some
too.
pictures when I had lunch with him last week or this week, and yeah, he was so impressed. He was like, "They're so well painted."
They're really good from a distance.
Mm. No, they're really good up close too.
So for me, yeah, aside from your birthday, which bowling, as you said, I was unsure how much our friends would go for it.
I was
As like,
too. Everyone
yeah.
was so into it.
And like even when you were talking about it, and you're like, I have two lanes, maybe I'll get three. And it was like, okay. I'm like, I don't know if everyone's gonna bowl the whole 2 hours.
I thought that too.
And then we're doing speed bowling at the end to try to get as many frames in, which was even more just ridiculousness. So
It
yeah, it
was
was
so fun.
bowling was a hit, way more of a
Yeah.
hit than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And then negotiating with Barry to make sure he took you in a roundabout way home so we could get there first and hide.
I
Like
mean,
there was so much planning involved in this. We did 99% of planning on everything. And then the last 1%, nobody talked about. So when it came to like,
like the
how are we
actual
going to show the shirts
execution.
off? And we're like, I don't know. We're standing there and you had taken Bryce out and we're like, Barry, you need to distract her. So we'll change into the shirts now. And he's like, how am I going to distract her? I'm like, I don't know. Like, get naked or something. And he's like, I don't think that's gonna work. And I was like, okay, like just lock her in the room or something then. So
Yeah, he
yeah, and
was
then
telling me
yeah,
all about that
with
coordinating.
with everything. So again, with the hiding the gifts, we're like, how are we gonna hide the gifts? I don't know. We'll figure it out on the go. So yeah,
It was so funny.
there was so much pre-planning and then just the last bit we were doing
We
all of it.
were driving home and like I have because Bryce was alone at home, I had turned on the cameras in the house. And so I'm getting all these notifications and I'm like, "Oh, I saw that you guys got there. That's great." And I was like, "Oh, I'll text Lauren about where the key is because probably they don't know." I didn't realize that you would have talked to Barry
Yeah.
beforehand. And then I'm like looking at you guys all moving around. It literally, I never thought that anything weird was happening. Barry was like, "Stop looking at it." But he knew what you were doing, so he
Yeah.
didn't want me to be
Oh, it even
paying.
got to the point because Lee had brought a lot of the 40 for 40 stuff and she was
Mhm.
going to go in Dan's car, but Dan had to stop to get gas. And I was like, you don't have time for that. Get in this car. We are moving. So, yeah.
That's
Uh, so aside from that, we did for my 2 weeks, we had the firefighter charity
oh
show,
yeah.
which
How
went
did
really well. We had four bands perform. They all had a firefighter in them. There was a beer
yeah.
that Sully had brewed, or actually quite a few of the
The
firemen
brew.
helped brew
Yeah.
with the local brewery. No, Loaded Questions. I always confuse them with another one.
Mm,
And so they had the beer release for that, and it was good and drinkable. And
nice.
we had played our set like 4 times because we practiced twice and then we had the show the week before. So it was like real good. Unfortunately, we didn't get the recording from it because that would have been helpful.
Oh
But
shoot.
we did get the video, but you can't change like the levels in it. So we do
Mm,
have it that we can listen to it, but the
it's not
levels
really
aren't
something
quite
to put
right to
out.
like put out there in the
Yeah.
public.
I don't know, put
Um,
like a live album.
well, it's unfortunately like the guitar is way too loud and the vocals are way
Oh,
too quiet. So it like doesn't,
okay.
it's just not mixed
Not
properly.
good.
But
Yeah.
they gave it to us for free, so it's not like we were expecting anything. So
Nice. Yeah,
thank you,
yeah,
we
yeah.
appreciate you. But yeah, so that went over really well. Had a lot of fun there. We don't have anything lined up now, but we're gonna keep practicing and trying new
Yeah.
stuff, and we'll see what
That's
comes in the
awesome.
probably New Year at this point.
Is
And
this like
then,
the most string of things you've had in a row, you guys? Of like pretty
well, yeah,
consistent
for
stuff?
for sure. 2 weekends in a row has been the most we've done. I mean, this year
Nice.
we planned on only doing 2 shows, and now we've done five.
Wow, yeah, that's a big deal.
Granted, we only got paid for three of them.
I
Wait,
mean,
no, we got paid for two of them because,
okay.
yeah, woohoo! But that's fine. We're getting the name out there, and we want to
Yeah.
keep working on the song so we can get more stuff recorded. So when we push people to Spotify, they can find us there. And aside from that, when I was finishing up the cards for the game on Thursday, I got a call, and it was this guy I've met in California a few times named Hildy, who's one of Sully's buddies, who's a firefighter out there. And him and four other guys had surprised Sully by coming out to see him. He hadn't seen him since like 2018, 2019. And Hildy's like second question was, "Where's Russ? He lives here, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, he
Oh,
lives 2 hours away." So Hildy's like, "Hey, we're only here till tomorrow, so figure it out."
oh boy.
So Friday, I ended up going up and hanging out with those guys. It was Hildy, another guy named Magic who I had met once, and then Welker, who I had never met before, and they were just woo. They were no, they
Yeah.
were a lot of fun, but it
Okay.
was thankfully they were like on the last day of a 5-day bender.
Oh, so they were a little more chill
So
than
when they petered out at like 11, I was like, I'm good with this. I'm good. We went back to Sully's house, had one more beer. I was asleep by midnight. I was like, okay, I can get up, drive home, and then drive to Vermont. It'll be fine. But it was
Nice.
really nice seeing those guys and really cool just to hang out with them kind of in my life. Like, because when I go there, I feel kind of out of sorts, right? Because I'm,
Yeah.
jumping into their situation. So to have them here, I felt more comfortable and like was able to just chill a lot better.
Nice.
It's good times. So yeah, so a great couple weeks. We did post some of that on some assorted Instagrams. So this is your reminder every episode to follow us on Instagram or Twitter. You can find us at Adult Book Club 21. That is all one word, Adult Book Club, and then the number 21. So hit us a follow there if you like. And that means we are back to the book, which once again was Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. According to their website, M.L. Wang has 8 books currently in publication. I say it that way because they have written other books and they are not in publication and apparently will not be in publication anytime soon,
Strange.
which is interesting. So, also with a lot of their work, I feel like the other book I read was The Sword of Kagan, or Kaigan, and that was like really hard to find. So, I don't know. This one was a lot more available than the others, but
It is
seems like
also super new, I mean, comparatively, I think, right? The sort of
yeah, this
Kaigen.
came out in 2024 after
Yeah.
being self-published in 23. So, of those 8 that you can still find, they include the
Mhm.
YA series titled The Volta Academy Chronicles. They have 3 anthologies containing some of their short stories and 2 standalone novels, this one and The Sword of Kaigen. Blood Over Bright Haven was originally published in July 2023, but it was self-published, but after having a huge positive reception, it was pushed to a more traditional publishing in October 2024. The novel was planned to be a novella somewhere in the 30,000 word range, but kept growing and evolving into the larger story it became. So definitely one that I think once you see the cover, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that places as it grew in popularity, I feel. So on that note, Tasha, if you want to read us the jacket, we'll go
I
from
don't
there.
have it.
Oh, you don't have the jacket. Back in for our video viewers. Taja, would you like to read us the jacket?
All right. The first woman ever submitted to a prestigious order of mages unravels a secret conspiracy that could change the practice of magic forever in this provocative standalone novel that deftly incorporates elements of science and philosophy into dark academia. For 20 years, Sciona has devoted every waking moment to the study of magic, fueled by a mad desire to achieve the impossible, to be the first woman ever admitted to the high magistracy at the University of Magics and Industry. When Sciona finally passes the qualifying exam and becomes a high mage, she finds her challenges have just begun. Her new colleagues are determined to make her feel unwelcome, and instead of a qualified lab assistant, they give her a janitor. What neither Sciona nor her peers realize is that her taciturn assistant was not always a janitor. 10 years ago, he was a nomadic hunter who lost his family on their perilous journey from the wild plains to the city. But now he sees the opportunity to understand the forces that decimated his tribe, drove him from his homeland, and keep the privileged in power. At first, Mage and Outsider have a fractious relationship, but working together, they uncover an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever if it doesn't get them killed first.
Nice, solid ending. So, as mentioned there, we have two main characters, and even though we meet Tommel first, we spend most of the book with Sciona. What were you thinking? Nope. What did you think of our
Mhm.
first female high mage?
I think like relatively strong in air quotes female lead because she's got a lot of ability and book smarts and I guess I guess inherent ability. She's good at what she does. Um, but she's hella naive and narcissistic and just in general kind of has colonizer characteristics, which I think is the point. Um, so I wouldn't call her a strong female lead in a sense of like somebody that I would look up to or whatever in terms of a protagonist goes, but I think she has the makings of being a better one. I think I appreciate her. Um, she's a standout in the society, given how misogynistic and patriarchal the society is. To be a woman in her situation is not common. So it's that part of it is cool. She's an innovator, but she's kind of a dummy.
I think she's a strong female lead in her very small world.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
to all the little girls who have been
Yep.
told they can't be something, she is a very strong female
hmm
lead. But if she actually looked at the world around her,
hmm
she would see that, like, how much wrong is happening in the world and how small her, like,
And
yes, it's
how
a big
powerful she
deal,
is.
but like how small she actually is in it with everything
Yeah.
else that's actually going on. And like
Yeah.
her, what what it like impressed me and then annoyed me and then annoyed me and then annoyed me and then I don't know if it ever got back to impressing me was her like very focused singular focus, like how she knew what she wanted to be from a young age. She was going to break this barrier. She was going to be the first female to join the high magistry, and she was going to show them that they're more than just teachers or midwives or whatever that the patriarchy wanted to put them into. And that impressed me until literally it showed how naive she was about every other thing and how many times you could hit her on the head with something to show her that her preconceived notions or whatever, what she's thought all along, is wrong, but she would
hmm
continue to fall back on that. It's like you have this scientific science brain, and yet for some reason you refuse to like take in what's happening around you and like
I
your stuff.
I do wonder a little bit about that if there's part of her religion and the upbringing she had or like the way she was taught is playing into that. You know, the religion in this society or religions, I think there's like kind of two factions in terms of like the magicians and what they believe. And she is very um she adheres to that very very strongly, and I think that that contributes to her kind of inability to like actually recognize some of the shit that's going on, even though it's smacking her in the face.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you said that, this thought came to me, and it's kind of like the people who say they're constitutionalists and the ones that
Oh,
actually are, where it's like, hey, I believe in the Constitution. It's never changed. This is what I direct everything on. And then it's a woman
in the
saying
next
that. And it's like,
breath.
hey, actually, by the way, a Constitution said you shouldn't be in power, by the way. So I don't
Right,
know how that works. Or
right.
the others that are like, oh, I use the air of that to like live my life. And like you see
Mm.
that with their religion, where she is like a very staunch believer in like this is the path. and we
Yeah.
are only seeking like enlightenment to truth, and like everything's been laid out for us, and we know like those are the foundations, those are the stones. So there's no more scientific study on that. That's just the truth, and now we're finding more truth.
Right, right. And that like to go outside the bounds of those strict regimented rules are blasphemous. Like
Yeah.
that's something that I think it takes her a while to kind of come to terms with or whatever you want to call it. I think yeah, I think her um blind following of the religion that she's in it definitely contributes to her naivete.
And spoilers before spoilers, to be fair to her, it's been 300 years in this society, so there's been like a lot of that layering of their propaganda, or however you want to put
Yeah.
it. But it was very frustrating that like serious events would happen that I think would make anybody question or maybe change their mind about those things. And it wasn't the first one that got her. It wasn't the second. It was like half a dozen things where she was finally like, maybe my spoilers before spoilers. My thinking is a little off, and like it just as much as you wanted to root for her from the beginning as this underdog, this woman trying to make it in a male dominated, not only the job she was trying to get, the high mage thing, but also the society was incredibly
Society.
male dominated.
Yeah.
Dominated. So like you wanted to root for her as an underdog from that standpoint, but I think as you saw Tommel more and his struggles, you're like, wait, this is the real underdog. And you are like you're supposed to help each other, and instead you are
Right.
still being like the one that's like kicking the other one down, like, oh, well, I'm still better than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that from the perspective of the society, like there's like you said, layer upon layer of histories written by the victors. So
Yeah.
like all the truth story or whatever actually happened is very likely not what they're learning about in school and at the magistry and like that is unsurprising and extremely realistic. So I did appreciate that aspect of the entire story.
And I also thought it was funny how like she's a Leonid or whatever they called it,
Yeah.
right? And his
Leon.
story is written by one of the other four like charter mages, starter, whatever. So it's not even from the original guy. It is literally this other one's perspective of that guy and of the situations of the stories he told.
Not unlike the Bible.
Exactly. Yes, there was a lot of parables. Is that the word we were looking for earlier between our world and this world?
Parallel?
Parallels. That's the better way of putting
I
it.
mean, it sounded like that's what you said. That's what
Right.
you said.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
And as we were trying to touch on before, we'll get more into it later on, probably also in spoilers. We I felt like we weren't sure if this was supposed to be satire with how outrageous that it became at certain points. So I think to be fair, I guess Wong used Sciona to really set up that, where we were just seeing such egregiously standout things of just wrongness
Like,
and all different
hey,
levels, where you're like, hey, girl, open your eyes. And again, the only way I think it made sense was the fact that she like didn't even know her neighbor's name because of
yeah,
how singularly focused she had been on her own life.
tunnel
So
vision.
fair, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our second character is Tommel, who is the focus of our prologue, and then comes back into our story as Siona's assistant, the so-called janitor in the back of the book there. What stood out to you about this character?
Okay, so I actually just loved the prologue. That was
Right.
like it was so grabbing and like I know I've told you this before that often will find playlists on Spotify that people have put together for the books that I'm reading. This one was an instrumental one. I don't know who did it. Whoever did it, freaking kudos. It was so good and most of the songs came from this game Horizons. Um it's a really badass game. We actually downloaded the Lego version and are playing that a lot. But the music is amazing, and I like was reading the prologue. I like again, it's the prologue, so we don't even know these people really
Yeah.
yet. And I was like so involved. I was like, I care about these characters. It was just extremely well written. So anyway, I really like Tommel. He's got so much fortitude. I
Yeah.
think his people, he's a very good representation of them, and I appreciate that he sort of feels the weight of that. Um, very, I mean, just how Siona's got all of those colonizer characteristics, Tamil has indigenous characteristics, and I definitely am like steering more towards those just in my like if I'm gonna pick a favorite character, it's likely to be that.
Yeah. And I think the prologue did it a bit of injustice because as I was reading that, I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Badass.
Yeah, I'm really excited to learn about this guy. And then the next page is Sciona was getting ready for exam. And it's
Yeah, I
like,
was like, wait, what?
huh? Why are we doing this? And obviously he was going to come back in, but yeah, I wonder, I don't know. And it's not like the story could have been told through his eyes
Yeah,
only, right? So we
yeah.
had to go through Sciona, at least for this story to be told. But it did feel like it was a little bit of like clickbait almost, where it's like, hey, we're gonna
Mm,
get you really excited, and then we're gonna do fucking 200 pages of textbook because
yeah.
that's what felt like came after. Like that was our big action sequence and our hero like saving his niece, and then now we're gonna tell you the
A
history
huge
of
amount
this
of time
city
goes by.
and talk to you about how magic is works and how we use these machines. And it was like such a high to an immediate crater of God, this is boring.
That was disappointing for sure, because that prologue was epic.
Mm.
I do think that, um, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I wouldn't call the way that this was written mul like different POVs.
No,
Would
it
you?
was more like a smattering. Like we got a little bit of Tamil.
But it like wasn't okay, so it wasn't enough for me to be like recognizing it necessarily as a POV, but I do think that it could have benefited from something like that. Where it's like we get some chapters like the Bloodsworn saga was, where it's
Yeah,
like kind of rotating because the prologue was so capturing or captivating that I think that that kind of back and forth might have been a little bit more edge of your seat.
yeah. It was basically like 90-10, I'd put it, maybe
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
And that was only because at the end we kind of get more of Tamil.
Well, yes.
Yeah. For reasons we'll talk about
Yes.
later. Yeah. But I agree with that. And like I think the word you used, his fortitude, like how he so in the world, and we'll get into that in the next question, in the city, if you're a Kwen, is what they call all the indigenous people, the outsiders, the non-Tirans, uh, you have to work in order to stay within this magical boundary. And if you can't work, you're thrown out, to the point where when he crosses the boundary with his niece, because his sister and brother-in-law die in the passing or in the crossing, he like they're ready to throw her out, and he covers her, and he's like one of the few
My
words he
daughter.
knew in their language was daughter, because they will not you say what you will about the Tirans, but they won't separate a child from their parent. So he is playing off that he is her father. But even for Kara, who is that character, Cora,
Yeah.
eventually she's, when Sciona meets her, spoilers, she's like, "Why aren't you in school?" And she's like, "I have to work. I work two jobs, you dumb bitch. Like, what are
So
you
out
what are
of
you
touch
talking
with
about?"
reality. Just so out of touch with reality. Sciona is.
But
Also, go ahead.
but I appreciate the juxtaposition of how he was raising her, where
Mm.
the fact that they made the crossing there, and this is all in the prologue, so read 5 pages, you're caught up. There was
It's so
40
good.
people left in their tribe, and the blight was striking, and there was food shortages and everything. So they basically knew that Tiran was their last hope. But you have to make this run, this 2-mile run, and it's rife with blight, which
Over a frozen lake,
over a
too.
frozen lake, yeah. And if the blight touches you, basically it rips you
Unravels
apart.
you.
Yeah, takes you apart. So he makes that run, and it's just him and his niece at the end. So they're the last of their tribe.
Of
And
40 people.
he struggles the entire time raising her, between raising her in a way that the Kwen raise their children in Tiran, which is like to bow down to the masters basically and like don't say anything and be quiet, or to raise her the way he would raise her in the tribe, which is to be more outspoken and not lie and like remember your heritage and all that. And he struggles with that because he feels like he's done her a disservice, and it's like a selfish thing that he has done to raise her that way, but he has lost his tribe. This is his last person. So even teaching her the language is like frowned upon, but he can't stop himself from doing that.
And he says it in such an interesting way. He says he's being selfish by
Yeah.
like putting all of this on her. And like obviously she um welcomes it. She wants to help be the last of the, she wants to be knowing her mother tongue and like all this stuff. And I think there is an interesting moment with Sciona and Tommel and how she basically is like, you've done great with her because, and I like that recognition is really nice.
That's a big step for Sciona too to like
Yeah.
recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I as you said, maybe a 50-50 split, we would have learned more, or maybe the story could have been different. I think it would have been more well, I don't know how exciting Tommel's life was in Tehran, but maybe he would have been part of like a splinter cell or something.
Well, so I find it really interesting that there's not more of like an underground rebellion or anything like that. Because it definitely feels like the two of them would have been part of that had there been something like that. Um, and also I lost my second point.
Well, even if we could have seen more of the Kwen culture inside of Tehran, like I appreciated when they went to that bar and
Yes.
the bartender there
Yes.
is Kwen as well, and he says something to
A word.
Sciona, and she asks what the translation is, and Tom just kind of gives her an off the cuff one. And we learn it was later on, it was so much more powerful and meaningful, and like it was a respectful kind of thing that he said to her. And I would have liked more of those situations where we could have seen how that, even if it was without Sciona, where we're just
Yeah.
seeing how the Quen were pushed down. I don't know. I feel like that would have, I don't know. I would have enjoyed that more than just hearing Sciona for the 13th time be like, oh, I don't understand why they think it's so bad.
Yeah, no, the I totally agree. I think the Kwen culture and like the indigenous culture of this world that she created was far more interesting, especially the little bits that we got when Tama was telling her about the histories, and I think even some of the stuff she ended up reading in the library was a little more enlightening. Um, and that's definitely the kind of thing I was wanting more of. Also, okay, this is kind of an aside, but I found it interesting the whole time how similar in terms of sound and look the name of the city is to Tyranny.
Nice.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that was purposeful, but like the whole time I was like, we just like change a letter here and
And even the fact that, yeah, yeah, no, that's a good point. I did not pick up on that. So speaking of our city, and we've touched on a bit of the politics around it. So our story revolves around the city of Tehran and the magical border that protects it from weather and the blight. I was wondering what you thought of this city and the society that Wang had built.
I think in general, and part of maybe what I liked about the book was that it wasn't too far of a departure from like heavily colonizer realities. Um, Very religious, sort of manifest destiny kind of shit that's like that's like this is our right to do this, that, or the other thing. And I think a lot of that came about in the histories that she ended up finding in the library. I thought those were a neat way, honestly, to bring some of that to the reader. Um, but I think she made something that, how do I say this? It was highlighting some of the crazy shit that actually happened in the world, in our reality, in a way that really kind of makes it stands out in this book as like, holy shit, this is nuts. And then you're like, oh, but that actually probably happened in 99% of cases.
And even it could still be happening. Like
Yeah.
she did an incredible job at highlighting the struggles of minorities, the
Yep.
struggles of women,
Yep.
the power of religion,
That.
and kind of the blind following of religion.
Yep.
So I did appreciate that when you take a step back, you can look at that and say, there's a lot here. That being said, when your main character is so indoctrinated by it and can't see it, was very frustrating. I mean, she
Yeah.
obviously saw the plight of women because that affected her. And she spent
Directly though.
her
Yeah.
whole life trying to fight that. stigma and to show that she
Mhm.
was more than anyone ever bargained for. Shout out
Nice.
Hamilton.
Nice.
But then, and this does happen, you're so focused on your own fight that you don't see the fight of others.
And how they're so similar to your own.
But where, and people in power try to show you that, they're still
Yep.
different from you, right?
Yeah.
But you would hope when it was highlighted for you that maybe be like, hey, wait, no, I go through very
We're
similar
alike.
situations. Yeah. So as far as like everything she put into it, as much as it was like textbook and religion heavy and history heavy in those 200 pages, I could appreciate all the thought she put into it as
Mm.
far as like the magical boundary and how that keeps away the blight and how they have to keep it powered and how the reserve works. So like the whole point of that crossing being so difficult is like to keep that magic going. They have different areas that are basically constantly siphoning magic off, and one of those is 2 miles around the city in a circle. So as Tommel and his tribe are making that crossing without knowing that they're running straight into a reserve zone, they are putting themselves in more danger than if they had stayed away, basically. So, like, you have this hub in the middle that is the safe zone, around it is the dead zone.
And it's so like religion to package an uncomfortable truth in a pretty little package.
Hmm.
And then when it's uncovered or we just don't talk about Bruno, then we brush it under the rug. We like just don't.
I'm sorry, Tasha, you're confused. That's God's will.
Right, I'm sorry. You're right. It is God's will. Yep.
That
Because
was
there's lesser beings and chosen people. Oh my God, it makes me bleh.
the chosen people were all the men, just so everyone's aware
Oh
that hasn't
yeah,
read
so that's
it.
clear. Um, Before I get really heated about that, I
Yeah,
do want to also add that I appreciated very much her, like, not the magic system because that is the ick, but the interface of
yeah,
how the magicians were using the magic is super interesting and I think innovative in terms of other books we've read, and even just like stories in general. I don't think I've ever heard of one that was quite so technical, like science and magic together. Like I'm picturing this like typewriter
yeah.
basically, with a screen ish.
Oh, you
Um,
didn't have the book, but
I
yeah,
don't have the book. Yeah. So like that, people who are watching this on YouTube, hi. Um, that was an interesting and different, a new and different way of showing magic, and I did appreciate that. I think that I also really like magic systems that have a cost. This one was kind of the most brutal of the costs that I've read about, but I do think there's that's the trade-off almost of like we've got all this power that we can access, but it makes sense to me in a certain sense that a very powerful magic system would have a very high cost.
yeah, and I appreciate what you're saying there too, because I found that interesting as well. Like, unfortunately, we bogged down on that for quite some time.
Yeah, it
And,
was a
and
bit
to,
much.
to be fair, with having the book and seeing that, I'm like, I immediately get what you're saying. I understand what you're
Right, you
using.
don't need to go into such
So
detail.
not everybody had that, but yeah, it was neat, and then it was like okay, and then it was like let's move on.
Yeah.
The other thing too, just from the colonizer vibe, as we like, I love how some of the connections were not even disguised at all. Like the fact
Mm.
that Leonid came off the mountain with the tablets that told them how to like create the city, the destined city to protect all these people, and how he like came down from the mountain with his vision and all this. Like I loved how some of that was just straight pulled.
Also, just how frickin' culty the whole thing of like, oh, I'm having visions. I got told to do this, that, or the other thing. Like, listen to me because I'm a prophet.
I'm a prophet. Everyone knows that. I can do
Everyone
all that
knows.
stuff. It's so easy.
Yeah.
But then, as we learn more about the history of the Kwen, which is just the general term again for the indigenous people, and we learn about the how Leonid had to like take away the writings from their library to protect them. And even I think Sciona at that point is like, hadn't they been protected there for however long they've been? Like you're telling me those people didn't protect them? Stuff like that.
Mm,
I liked the layers she put into it, I
yes,
guess is what I'm
yes.
saying. It
Yeah,
did add to your
100%.
frustration as you're reading it. And
Big
thankfully,
time.
these were like the half a dozen to a dozen things that eventually brought Sciona around to realize there was other people that needed help and were struggling with things. It was really beating you on the head with it for a while.
I also appreciated that the culture that the um Tyranish like fucked with the Kwen were typically, I don't want to call them matriarchal necessarily, but like women were the keepers of the magic, which to me means magic existed already in some other, probably not so murdery way. That couldn't we adjust it like it's such a dude thing to come in and be like, actually, women don't know what they're talking about, and I'm gonna steal all this knowledge and corrupt it into something terrible. Men suck.
It's fair. I had that point in spoilers.
Yeah, I know.
And I also appreciated that the reasoning behind that, as Tom was explaining that about how the women were seen
Mhm.
as miedras, their word for it, and that was the word that they had called Sciona, where it's like that respectful woman of power kind of thing. And it was because anybody who was able would be out hunting, gathering, trying to survive. And it was the women's job to like I don't know, build the houses and like sew the clothes and take care of the children and all that stuff. But because they weren't always on the move, they were the ones that were doing, they were honing their magic as part of it too, because it was
And
all about,
healing.
was that?
Healing too.
Yeah, it was
Like
all
it
about
wasn't
healing and
just,
stuff like that.
yes.
Like that was their part. And then it would also fall to people who were injured or
Yep.
born
Couldn't
with
go out and
disabilities
hunt.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So and that's one of the five, I forget his name, but one of the five founders was half Kwen. And it
Hmm.
was because he was born with a disability that he
Hmm.
would stay home with his mother and learn these magics and then, you know, maybe passed them on to the wrong people. But
Yeah.
I
I
liked
bet he
how
was,
even that was explained. So, like, to give her
yes.
credit, she did a lot on the world building here.
She did. She did.
It was just a lot at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. Yeah, it did get dry for sure, but I absolutely appreciate the depth and level of her historical building,
Yes.
even
Yes.
if it was painful and shitty, but such is life.
So, on that note, we have your get to know your podcaster question. Before we get to spoilers, this one deals with their basis of religion. We'll see how it goes. So, Siona and Tommel argue about the differing religions. And, like, even, as we said before, there's two differing viewpoints in Tiran itself, but this is kind of the difference between Siona's beliefs and Tommel's beliefs. So, Siona argues that God will judge you based on your intentions, whether good or bad. I tried to bring a I don't know. I tried to bring a train through this to get people to transport one place to the other faster. Well, you didn't think about all the crops you knocked down and now you displaced a bunch of people. Well, the train is still good, right? Whereas Tommel believes that the outcome matters, not the intention. So you had the right intention, but you fucked a bunch of people over. That's still bad. Sorry, it doesn't count that way. Your impact on the world matters. So I was wondering, let's see where this goes. Which one of these rings more true with you?
Unsurprisingly, Tommels.
Hmm.
Basically, and it was funny because before I sat down to write all of my notes and answer these questions, I had seen like a TikTok or a reel or something on social media that basically hit the nail on the head with how I feel about this. I think that um, Siona's is basically a cop out. Um, that it's not unlike, I guess I'd say religion, but specifically Christianity, feels often like it's giving narcissists in particular, an easy way to absolve themselves of things like, oh, I wanted to do good. And I think that there's value in your intentions, for sure, because a lot of times people, other people judge you by your actions, not your intentions, because
Yeah.
they're not inside your head. So I think having good intentions is not a bad thing. But I do agree with Tommel's idea that the outcome or the output is more effectual. It matters more. And even if you meant to do good, if there's blowback or negative consequences because of that, um, that should be a ding against you, even if you meant well. Um,
It's unexpected consequences, right?
yep.
Where even the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Yes, indeed.
If you do it once and something terrible happens, you can get like, I didn't
It's
mean
a
for that to
learning
happen.
experience.
Yeah. If you do it again, shame on me,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, whatever. That thing. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame
Yeah.
on me.
There it is. There
There
it is.
it is. We did it, guys. That's like the idea where, yeah, good people can have do things that cause bad things to happen. It's just a question of what's your like batting average here? Because if you're batting 500, that's not great.
Well, and I think that a lot of times, if your intentions are good and your actions are good, then like you're saying, you can kind of learn from that, and like it's a building block to having better outcomes every time.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. Like I just think that the saying that I'm trying to do something good can also be extremely subjective. Good for who? Good
right.
for you? Good for the person that you're doing the thing for? Or, um, building more housing is great. Are we disrupting the land? Abso-fucking-lutely. Is there majority of consequences that are negative for that kind of thing? Probably, yeah. Um, and I think that it's really just a subjective thing. But I think, yeah, I think Thomas.
Also, are you charging $6,000 per apartment? Like,
Christ, we were just driving home from Trader Joe's through a new gentrification building section in South Burlington, and I was like, all right, I gotta look up these things. A studio apartment was for rent for 1950. Granted, heat and internet was included as utilities, which like does kind of up the ante a little bit, but like that's more than my mortgage.
yeah, it's $24,000 a year basically
Like
for
insane.
nothing because you're
For a
renting.
studio
Yeah,
under 500 square feet.
Jesus Christ.
Also, like, it was a development that was like for UVM affiliates, which, like, could be the university, could be the medical center. And then I was like, how long is it going to take before South Burlington's called UVMville?
Hmm?
Like, it's not long. Anyway, that was a.
So back to this. I also agree with Thomas Urchin, obviously. I think most normal people would. I honestly, I'm sorry, but if you like don't take the outcome of your
Into
decisions
consideration.
into consideration, then you're probably not a good person.
And your intentions are probably not that great or that altruistic.
And you're just telling you again, it's as we'll see in spoilers, we can actually talk about it. If you blame or say it's just God's will, and like sometimes I don't know, people have like this is where it gets slippery. I don't want to lose people. I don't want to lose any of our like 5 to 6 listeners, but like I can understand people using religion to try to understand life, try to cope with
Yes.
things that happen when tragedy strikes you. If that gives you solace,
Helps.
great. I hope it helps you. That's fine. I'm not
Yep.
attacking that. What I'm attacking is if you're doing something that you know is wrong and it's affecting people that, in this case, would be the Kwen, which are the minority here, which are seen as the subservient race, and you know what you're doing is affecting them negatively, and saying, well, that's just God's will because this is our God, and they don't. That was the other thing. Like, they would be like, the Kwen don't come into the city. And if they don't change their ways and they don't praise our God, it's not our fault what happens to them.
In my opinion, even if you think that there is another, like, they recognize them as human, but lesser humans. Like
Right.
anybody, I mean, the same could be said for racists. Like if you think that those people are lesser than you for whatever reason, and well, I guess I should say frustrating that they can say, I've been chosen by God and
Yeah.
they haven't, is such utter bullshit. Absolute utter bullshit.
So there you have it, folks. Try to understand whatever you're doing, whether your intentions are good or bad, the outcome also matters. Like try
Yeah,
to think as Tommel does.
yeah,
We'll put the soapbox away for now. And keep listening, believe in whatever you want to believe in, but also
yeah.
believe that all people, you should respect all people. You should
All
respect all
people.
life. And
Jesus.
hopefully if you stick through spoilers, you'll understand more of why we talked about that. So this is the part that we're going into spoilers. If you don't know the book, get out or stay if you want to understand what the fuck just happened. Because this is the part that we're going into spoilers. It's time to talk about what we all learned on like page 30, but nobody really talked about until page like 250, and what this whole thing is all about in spoilers. So, Sciona and Tommel have a breakthrough when they are able to manipulate the image in the energy finder and create a clear picture of the other realm where they source magic. They are both devastated as they realize the other realm is actually Kwen territory and the blight that plagues the area is the siphoning of magic. Tirans have been killing all living life, including humans, for over 300 years to run their city. After coming to grips with the discovery, Sciona knows she cannot live in this world without trying to correct it. She goes to her mentor, Archmage Brigham, and is destroyed once more when he tells her that all mages in the city know where the magic comes from, as they are told or figure it out, usually after serving for 5 years. He is not surprised she discovered the truth so quickly and urges her to focus on the work and not think about what it does to the savages outside of Tiran's protection. He mentions that the magic is a gift from God, as is the other realm, so why shouldn't they use it? Sciona decides that she must bring this information to the Mages Council and believes that with her new clarity in the mirror, they can at least focus on plants, trees, and animals for their magic and would have no reason to siphon from humans. The council doesn't listen, and so Sciona is happy that she had a plan B. At noon, during her presentation, her spell is triggered, and for the next 30 minutes, all over the city, Freynin mirrors are displayed above everything that uses magic, and they show the blight as it takes the life of whatever is needed to power that machine. The city drops into revolt as they are not prepared to witness such atrocities. The Kwen take to the streets and begin attacking Tirans and mages. Sciona is arrested and will stand trial the next day for unleashing the havoc. Before her trial, she tries one more time to reach her mentor, but she can see he is closed off to her. She stands before the council and refuses to ask God for forgiveness or admit she did anything wrong in her pursuit of the truth. She is sentenced to death and in her final moments has her last victory as Tommel activates her final spell. The expansion of the protective dome use the expansion of the protective dome using the High Magistry as the source of power. She witnesses several of the mages be struck by blight until it also tears her apart. The story ends with Tommel and Kara making a run for the mountains, knowing that the Tiran will blame the Kwen for everything and living inside the city will become dangerous. As they make their way across the city, they encounter more Kwen from other tribes with the same idea. They make it to the end of the newly increased barrier and face the cold of the long night as they try to find shelter in the caves at the base of the mountain. Tommel is filled with hope for the future of this new tribe. So maybe you can see why there is a little bit of strong pushback on religion there. The amount of times they said it was God's will to fucking kill people for their to run their toasters and shit.
The most simple of things, like
So excessive. So excessive.
extremely
Like,
excessive.
and the fact, again, that the whole energy shield that they created is just to protect them from cold. Because the blight, it protects us from the blight. We created the blight. If we
Yeah.
stopped doing the magic, the blight wouldn't happen.
And like when she's talking with Tommel about the blight and trying to like, explain the magic shield and all this stuff and like he's like, yeah, the blight wasn't a thing. She's like, yes, it was. Like, again, history's written by the fucktards who are trying to hide the evil shit they're doing.
And they have their weird dated system, which I didn't understand, but basically like 10 BC,
Yeah.
whatever, Leonid comes down with his vision and starts the city of Tiran, and then 5 BC is the first time blight is encountered as the boundary goes up. Huh, I wonder what changed.
Weird. Such a weird coincidence.
So we're
But
just,
like she, in all of her history and all of her learning, like that's not a thing that's discussed,
of
like
course
that's not,
not. Yeah, yeah.
of course not.
No,
You
you don't
can't
want to talk
be
about it.
giving up the game.
She only came across that as she was doing her research to like prove what she had basically learned and seen for her
Right.
own self. Uh, so as we're just rambling instead of answering questions,
Sorry.
let's right this ship and say, what did you think of our turning point for Sciona when she realizes the truth about where they siphon magic from?
Well, first I thought called it, obviously, as you said, because it was pretty obvious. Um, and then I was almost as surprised as some of the secondaries that she cared, that she had that reaction. I think that if our main character were anyone other than the first woman admitted to the magistry, it wouldn't have mattered. Because, like you were saying before, she's almost the best person to, um, or the most likely person to recognize a plight when she sees it, or to recognize that, like, I mean, she's almost also a second class citizen as a woman in this society. So, while I say that in one breath, in the other breath, I'm like, she also has drank the Kool-Aid and doesn't necessarily, it takes her a while to believe that what she's seeing with her own eyes is even true. And then tries to explain it away way too frequently, even after so many attempts, or not even attempts, so many proof positives of her hopes being dashed, that other people will stop it or other people don't know about it or whatever. Um, so yeah, I was on one hand surprised she cared because she is very tunnel vision about her career and magic in general, but then also if anyone's going to notice it and care, it likely would be the only woman in the game.
Well, and then they even say that this is the whole reason they wanted, after she confronts the council with it, they're like, we told you, Brigham, this is why you can't have a woman because of
Women are
their
too emotional.
emotions. Yes, very dated references to how we see women.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard that since like yesterday.
Yikes. Uh, the thing that upset me the most about this book and was very difficult to come back to or from, we talk about it all the time, breadcrumbs, right? She gave us a loaf of bread on like chat in chapter 2 or 3. I don't even remember where it was, but it was when Sion was looking into the view screen, into the other realm for the first time, and she like describes the grayscale of like squiggly images. And it's like, wow, we learned about the blight in the prologue, which seems like a very magical thing, like touching down on. It's not like lightning. It's like this like white line that comes out of the air and kind of when it touches you, it unravels your being and it seems to steal like all your cells and like your energy. I wonder what this could be used for. And then as soon as she describes the other realm, it's like, God damn it. And I told Amanda, we had this conversation when we saw each other. You said something to Barry. It was like, if this is it, like, come on. Like, it's way too fucking obvious.
I was like you said, not very far in. I don't remember how far in. And we were driving somewhere and I was like, oh. And I like had this, I like said something out loud and then was like, okay, Barry, I think that in the book I'm reading that this is what's going on. And I was like, remember this conversation because later when I read that this is the thing, I want to just circle back.
I want to have
And then I
proof.
was sitting on the couch reading and I was like, oh, it's happening. This is the thing.
So that was frustrating in and of itself, where it was so like, I'm trying to think. I know there's been other things where we've been privy to information. I'm thinking maybe the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, where
Mhm.
like you can give it so your readers have more information than your character
Without being
does.
like,
And it could be interesting that way because you're
yeah.
seeing how they're reacting without it. This isn't one of those situations. This is this is very much the big twist that you're giving us way too early. And like, if you didn't put this together, have you read a book?
Yeah, I do think that it's an interesting um sort of case or example of a scenario where what you're saying, where like the reader has more pieces of the puzzle because like it's obvious all the Kwen who have seen blight happen um have that half of the knowledge. All of the magicians, which there are not that many, like it's not as though it's all the population are magicians. They see the siphoning portion, the bit of the blight that is on the using end, the receiving end. Um, and so obviously all the magicians are fucking in on it, so they know, but the there's no until Sciona and Tommel, I feel like there was no scenario where both sides or you know what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
say here?
yeah.
Like they were two separate things. And even um the baker's brother, like he was this gate guard or whatever or barrier guard um who he might not have known the correlation between blight and the powering of all of their magical things, but he knew that it was fucking shitty.
And not
But
just that, but they would throw back the like
yes.
half-baked people because oh,
Yes.
they're of no use to us. They can't work. Throw them back over the boundary to get
And then like watch
finished.
them get blighted.
Yeah.
Like, so I can understand why there wasn't a whole bunch of people everywhere making the correlation and fighting back because of that. You know, they're controlling the narrative, the powerful people are controlling the narrative enough to make it seem like the blight is a natural or god thing or something that is outside of their control
Yeah.
enough that the general masses aren't going to be questioning it.
Right. And to be fair, as they can like as the books, the original books point out, like the other realm is seen as God's garden. And
Right.
this is where we are given the fruits to find his step. And like the fact that they like put in coordinates, like there was too many things that were so obvious. They put in coordinates to search for like sources of energy, and then the energy moves, so sometimes you have to like be very precise, and then the fact that there's certain parts in the
That
coordinates
are
that are like you
unknown
can't go
now.
there. Oh, I wonder what's there. And then there's other ones that are so plentiful they're constantly being sourced for the reserves like around the city. And there was so and then the second law or whatever is you can't do anything to the hoop that you look through. Like you can't change that in any way because God forbid you created
Can't make
that
it
to
too
your image
good.
and actually saw what you were doing. So it's like there were so many
Rules that
flashing lights.
path.
And I feel like I don't know. I wonder if we didn't have that moment where she's like looking at the squiggly lines and maybe she didn't describe them so well and just gave us some of these things if we would pick it
Sure.
up so quickly. Like I wonder if
Sure.
there could have been a better execution so that twist is more
Surprising.
for
Yeah.
us.
That's a
But
good point.
it's
That's a good.
like it would have been interesting if it wasn't so obvious.
Yeah.
The fact that it was so obvious really took away all of its surprise factor, I guess.
Well, and I think that like I guess to my own point from before, how like most people didn't have both pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Like as soon as she's teaching Tommel how to write the code, so to speak, um, and do all this stuff, he was asking all these questions that like I think only a Kwen who understands the actual world and how that works would be able to, and I'm not talking about like the world societally speaking, I'm talking about the world naturally speaking.
Yeah.
Um, like he was able to recognize even just from his low level understanding or baseline understanding, recognize that the coordinates sounded so much like, or this shape that this is building is this. Like, how are you so stupid?
Yeah. Yeah. It was very, very frustrating. And then the fact that Sciona even like argues it. So
Yeah.
Tommel immediately recognizes what's happening. He like storms, he breaks her machine, then storms out. Thank God she has a reserve. She's like, that can't be true. I'm going to trigger another spell with my clear ass vision and see if it affects this girl who's just collecting clams on a seashore. Oh my God, it's peeling her fucking skin off. Stop the spell so I can watch her fucking bleed out.
And I mean, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I do think that, I mean, that was freaking harsh, Sciona. Like, why didn't you just believe the facts in front of you in the first
Got
place?
half into a bush. Close
Yep,
enough.
that was enough. Didn't they watch like a rabbit or something too? Anyway, I think that that was maybe a little bit from a storyline progression or from the next stage in her process is a nervous breakdown, and
Yeah.
it's more likely to happen if she's just done something fucking terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Because that became the replaying scene that haunted her.
right,
Was just seeing
right.
that girl being unraveled by her decision.
Understandably so.
Yeah, and then trying to decide how many times she's done that to again heat up her oven or turn a light on or
The
whatever.
guilt, I like her suicidal ideations, like 100% girl. I would have been right there with you on
I
that
don't
one.
know how
Like,
you deal with that.
how do you come? I
Yeah,
mean, we see how she comes back from it, but like, that's a rough one. That would be really hard to parse.
I agree. So moving on to lighter things for a second. We have the relationship between Sciona and Tommel, both professionally and then personally. I was wondering how you thought Wang handled that.
Generally, a bit heavy-handed. I
Yeah.
don't think that um any level of romantic relationship was necessary to the story. Um, I absolutely can appreciate their chemistry from a friendship standpoint, from a teamwork standpoint. I think they make a good team because they're both um willing to like learn and change to a certain degree. But like I didn't need them to be making out. I didn't need them to be like, I think I love her. I
Yeah.
think I love him. I don't love that in general. Like that's not my style of romance. I'm not gonna will they, won't they all the I mean, that's a lie. I will do that.
But not
But
here.
not here, but also not in like a, oh, I think she hates me. I don't know. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't egregious, I guess, like in terms of other books we've read where that is painful or more painful. Um, yeah, I mean, what did I write? Yeah, I don't think it was like critical to the storyline that they romantically cared about each other. I can see them having respect for each other and having that be an important piece.
But even that took her so long to get
Oh,
to
it did.
Sciona, meaning where like
Yeah.
she'd be like, "Oh wow, he's actually pretty well like learned for a
It
Kwen,"
was like
or like he
we,
can read really well for a Kwen. He
yeah.
picks up things fast for a Kwen.
This though, to be fair to her, I guess, is um the product. She is a product of that society. Like
But
all of
if
the
you're physically attracted to him or whatever, like how can you not see him as a person then?
because she kept kind of dismissing her physical attraction. Like I still think it's a product of the society like that she's in. She as much as she's attempting not to or would maybe claim that she doesn't, she thinks that Gwen are less.
Yeah.
Like that is what she thinks, and it takes her a very long time to break out of that, and understandably so. I mean, if you've been told by all of your teachers and all of your religious people that, I mean, that's a tough sell.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's just that setting to constantly. Again, it's the person who's being marginalized not seeing that the person they're marginalized is also being marginalized by the same people. Very upsetting.
It is very upsetting. I agree
As
completely.
as far as their relationship, I agree with you. I thought it was just ugh. Like again, we didn't get much of Tommel, and so like when you were wasting it on like, why am I so struck by her green eyes?
Oh my God, I was so annoyed with all the eye
Yeah.
talk.
And well, they have different colored eyes, Taja. So it's hanging out with
Also,
different races.
like different races, and the only difference seemed to me to be hair color.
Hair color, yeah.
Hair
I,
color.
I,
That was it.
Maybe skin color too. I don't know.
To be
Definitely eye
fair,
color.
though, this is a theme of just over exaggerating the ridiculousness of the situation and to show the parallel is it's just hair color, it's just fucking skin color.
Yeah.
That's it.
But those people are lesser, Tasha, unless they come over to our way of thinking. And even
Right.
then, they're still lesser because we let
Wang.
them in. We graciously let them into this territory that we stole from them 300 years
Oh,
ago.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then we let them work for us in those jobs we don't want.
We let them. Yep. And
Yes.
otherwise they're completely useless.
So it was very frustrating how it kept coming back to status for them as well. When they were like, both of them were like, how, like, she was like, how could I love a Kwen? He was like, how could I love a Tiran? Like, it'll never work, whatever. And it was only 3 months. It wasn't even 3 months. Like, it was like
It's
two and a
such a
half
short
months.
period of time. Yeah.
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 And like, and he was even at the end, he's like, oh, a little bit of ice melted around my heart. Like, shut up, Tommel. Don't be that way.
I hope you find a nice Quen lady.
Me too. Maybe he will now. But he, and also when he was talking about like the other Quen women that he had been
Women.
with, and he's like, it never worked out because I couldn't open myself up enough to them. And it's like, God damn it, guy.
I mean, Tommel is definitely damaged goods, and like we talked about, he has the weight of an entire tribe on his shoulders. But my dude, how you gonna keep the tribe alive if you're not procreating? I mean, not that he didn't try, and not that that woman, it was not her fault. She was tainted by the factory she worked in because
Well, that was with
tyrannish are
somebody else though too. She
fucking
because
terrible.
he wasn't sure he wanted to bring kids into this because
Okay, good point.
it'd
That
be the
was
same
somebody
struggle he
else.
had with Kara, where it's like, how do you
Okay,
raise them? So
okay.
that
Yeah,
she
yeah,
went on to
yeah.
somebody else. But yes, because of the
I
factory,
understand his fear.
but because of the factory that
Yes.
Siona's mentor ran
Yep.
and the dyes they used there, they knew that the dyes
Fully
there
knows.
would
Fully knows.
would lead to miscarriages and infertility in the women. And his response was, "Well, they procreate too much anyway. Am I right?"
What a douche.
God's will.
That storyline or that part of the story reminded me of a Miss Fisher episode where similarly, and I'm assuming this is historically accurate, in some factory, watch factory, the women were having to lick the tips of their paintbrushes to do this thing on a watch, and it was like terrible, and a bunch of them died because it poisoned them.
Jesus
But
Christ.
like women are also second class citizens, so like it's no NBD. Oh my God, this book made me really mad. I am
Yeah,
only just realizing it
it was
right
very
now.
upsetting to read and then talk about. I'm so glad we're doing it. Moving on to happier decisions. I'm going to say that after every question. What were your thoughts on Siona's decision to show the city where their magic came from? And do you think the fallout was believable?
Okay, so freaking naive, which is unsurprising because as we've discussed, that's her MO.
Yeah.
She is like 100% naive. Um, I can applaud the like attempt. I can applaud the desire to do something, to act, and all of that is great. But my girl, Tommel's telling you, all the people around you are effectively telling you, maybe not blatantly, but like the way that all the people in your life are reacting to you as a female mage, upheaval and all of that, don't you think, can't you make the logical deduction that doing something like what you've done isn't going to end the way you think it will? Like, I mean, maybe I'm pessimistic and just don't expect much of humans. And these are humans. She says it multiple times. It's not like this is some alien planet. These are human beings. We fucking suck on the whole. And I think my opinion of of humanity is generally low, which is great. I mean, it's awesome. It's so good. It's how we've talked about like Project Hail Mary and all those things where like humans come together to like bullshit. I
Yeah.
call bullshit. We're never going to do that. And I think that the way that everything happened, how the mages reacted, how the Quen reacted, how society at large reacted, 100% inevitable and humanly accurate.
Maybe
Mic
next time,
drop.
maybe next time put out a flyer.
Fuck.
Do you want to know where your magic comes from? Tune in at noon today.
Underground information that shit. Get the
Yeah.
Kwen on your side and revolt.
Because, well, I mean, they led to a very bloody revolt, which
I
wasn't
mean,
going
it did, but like,
to.
couldn't you be a little bit less fucking tabloidy about it?
But even if you were just, if again, I brought this up earlier, like if we were doing this, right, and using electricity, and then suddenly this like bubble showed up over my computer and showed this person being ripped apart because that's where my electricity comes from, and I had no warning of what was happening, and this is something I've
Or
done my entire
necessarily
life.
understanding that that's what that is.
Yeah, how do you think I'd fucking react, you know? But, and here's the thing, as you said before, where the reason they put this together is they have both sides of the story.
Yes.
The Tirans don't.
Average people don't know.
But the Kwen do. The Kwen know exactly what they're seeing. So
Yes.
what did you think was going to happen?
And what did you think was going to happen after Tommel told you what was going to happen?
Yeah.
He didn't mince words. He was like, this is a fucking terrible idea, and here's why. And she was like, burp, 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 we're still gonna do it.
Yeah. And again, like in terms of the story, I don't know how it moves forward without it because it had to be such a dramatic situation that she gets arrested and put to death, and that moves forward with the rest of the story. So it's not like she couldn't do it, but like the fact that you had this person who, again, didn't even know the name of their neighbor, thinking that she knew how an entire populace would react to seeing the whole glass shatter over them and then
Like,
seeing atrocities of people and animals and everything being ripped apart by their magic for 30 minutes, how you thought that, oh, no, we'll be okay.
I know best because I'm basically the queen of Asperger's. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. I know what's gonna be, how this is gonna play out. We have to do this. Like, again, I appreciate her desire to spread the word, so to speak, but like, you didn't spread it. You like force fed it to people in such a shocking way. And as you said, like, there's you're only giving them, you're only giving some people one portion of the story.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then you're shotgun blasting it, even to the point where like
Yes.
how she was like, I kind of thought that like one human life would be enough to like run the dome for an hour, and instead it's like 30 seconds. Where like their whole dome is just filled with these goddamn mirrors of atrocities. How she talks about the jailer that's driving her away in the car sees like somebody get ripped apart on the hood for the power that's running the car, and then he crashes it. It's like
Because obviously,
you had no idea what you were messing with.
the kicker for me, which I think I liked it in terms of the writing, was how fucking wrong she was about her family.
Yes.
Because like, and I can understand Alma's, her cousin's, um explanation or reaction and being so frustrated. Like, I think it's fair for her to be like, fuck you. You know, we spent all of our lives, or all of your life, caring for you and about you and doing everything for you while you single-minded focused on this one thing that was just for you. Um, and then you go and create, like, drop a bomb effectively. Also, why would she not have been like, hey, Auntie and Alma, let's have a little chat. I want to warn you about this thing that I'm about to do, this bomb that I'm about to drop.
Or maybe even just you went through all those, she talks to Tommel about it. She doesn't talk about her plan to her mentor, but she talks to him about where magic comes. She needs to know that he knows the truth, right?
Yep.
Why did you talk to your aunt and cousin about it? Did you think they were too
Yep.
dumb to understand what you were saying?
And if they are, they're not. Her cousin can put together a spellograph from like i- disparate pieces. She's not a dummy. Also, again, product of society, potentially thinking that women who are not book smart are not smart.
Yeah.
Um, God, she was a really, do I not like her? Anyway, like, why would you not give them a spoiler alert?
Yeah.
Even having, I mean, she's having this mental breakdown. And her cousin is basically like, there's a man coming to lobotomize you. Get your shit together. How is that not the moment to be like, I need to tell you why I'm losing my shit?
right? Well,
That
maybe
was
they
the
think she was
time.
crazy at that point, but like once you get it back together again,
I mean,
I don't
even
know.
still, like, shh, you could, I mean, you don't want to do it to a person, but you could show them. Like,
Yeah.
like you showed everybody when you dropped the bomb. Like, that was, I guess, showing a little bit of her same or similar narcissistic, like, tunnel vision. Like, I'm only thinking about getting the result that I want, not the result that is likely to happen or the result that's best for everyone. Like,
Well,
I didn't.
it's her belief system still too ringing true,
Mhm.
where like the whole point of their religion is to find the truth.
Mhm.
That's what they say. So she's just showing everyone the truth, but she's not giving them any kind of
No context. It's
context.
basically
Yeah.
just like
And then on top of that, um,
she's
just
assuming
what
that
we're
people are
talking about,
good.
earlier, not having the outcome of your intentions. She had good
Uh-huh.
intentions, but had no thought of the outcome, or
No.
thought she knew what it was, even though again she has zero understanding of what people are. So
Yeah. I mean, even just the fact that she thought for sure that her mentor couldn't have
how could
known.
he know? He's such a nice old man.
I just like his his whole vibe was icky in
Yeah,
general. Um, but I guess it just comes back to her naivete. Like you really what do they say? Like if somebody shows you who they are, you believe them. Like
yeah,
these people, these magicians have shown you, this whole society has shown you who they are through all of their teachings, all of the way that they treat the Kwen, like everything. There's no way that you could assume that the average tyrannish person would think that this is like, oh, well, I can't use the stove now. What else do they know?
yeah.
Nothing. That is what they know. And they've also been trained, taught, whatever, indoctrinated, which is a very buzzword right now, um, to think that the Kwen are lesser. Like, there's no way that they're going to be like, oh
Why
my
should we care
gosh,
about them?
those are humans that we should care about.
Right.
Fuck, she's dumb.
She is dumb. And to that effect, I will say I did think the fallout was believable,
Oh,
where
100%.
just an open revolt happened. Because again, the people who understand what they're seeing understand what you guys are doing and understand that all of their hardships are because you wanted to make tea. Like,
I'd be
Jesus
fucking pissed.
fucking
I'd be
Christ.
so pissed. Of course
Yeah.
I would revolt. Like, and not for nothing, like, the Kwen are the people who've been doing the manual labor of this entire city for many much years. They're going to be the stronger ones.
Yeah.
They're going to be the more capable
Well, and
ones.
there's so many of them. They keep
Yep.
bringing that up. You know, how
Yep.
they're like packed into the apartments and everything like that. And she talks about how Tommel and Kara's apartment is so much smaller than hers. And it's, yeah, it's
Oh,
ridiculous.
and how even the little bits where she was like going to their apartment and she was like, my aunt like told me to be careful here because I'm gonna get robbed and like it's fucking fine because that's not actually a goddamn propaganda. It's propaganda.
So, moving on to a nicer question. I already forgot what my bad transition
I
was.
I
But
was like, they're all gonna end like this.
yeah. What did you think of the ending with the High Magistry, including Sciona, being consumed to power the expansion and Tommel running out of the city? Second hard cut for those on video because Tasha took a phone call.
I
Audio doesn't know this happened. This is just between us guys.
All right, so honestly, it seemed like the only shot that Tiran had at like a non-history repeating kind of evolution or, you know, existence. Um, I think that that was kind of built into in a way, or like I was steered in that direction when they happen across when Karen and Tommel happen across the fucking guys at the end there.
Renthorn
Renthorn
and Jared or
and
something like that.
yeah,
Jeffrey.
whoever the other guy was, the
Two
10th.
mages that weren't there for those that didn't read the book.
Right, of course not. Um, I feel like Tommel obviously made the right choice in keeping that one guy alive, and I think that from a who that magician is or was or whatever, he was basically a rookie, didn't know what was going on, wasn't like indoctrinated by, I mean, he was because he's like a
Nepotism.
Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Um, but he's also one of the ones that was showing a little bit more decency,
Yeah.
even to Sciona a little bit. I think like his Nepo baby moves were not necessarily um inherently evil. So I think that there's maybe hope for starting fresh. Is he a very skilled magician? No, but maybe that's okay. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think from a Tiran perspective, the ending was kind of like potentially hopeful.
Mm.
From a Tommel and Kara and the other Kwen leaving, great, great call. Get the
Yeah.
fuck out.
So
That's
I
really
find
bad.
it interesting, like hopefully that cave system that they end up in like works their way. They can get
To the
out without
to
having to
the
go back.
black-haired Kwen.
What's that?
To like somewhere where the black-haired Kwen were, where
Well,
that
that, or I just meant like so they don't have to go back towards the city because
oh
as they were like, oh, the reserve area got
mm,
consumed by the expanding border. Like, what's not to say when the long dark ends or whatever they were calling it, and you have to come out of that cave, there's not a new reserve, and now you're running right back into that.
right. I do wonder too if like from the survivors standpoint, the people who are escaping, if maybe Tommel's understanding of how the magic works will help them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at
I
least as
mean,
far as like knowing definitely what spots to avoid, those
sure.
hotbed areas for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I just I like that he ended with hope. I
Me
like
too.
that like that's all I needed. I didn't need his heart melting for Sciona so they could have passionate makeouts. But I liked that it was bringing him back to humanity where he sees as they're running one of the other women gets shot and she's carrying a baby and kind of in this full circle moment where he experienced this with Kara making their run to Tiran 10 years ago, whatever it was at this point. She then takes the baby from her and she's like, I got it, Auntie. And like is holding her. And like we have that moment. I thought that was great. I liked how immediately it felt like his tribe, while his specific tribe may be gone, the tribe is still alive in these other people.
And they
And
can rebuild in like a different way.
yeah, you find your people, so that
Mm-hmm.
they're keeping their tribe alive and you're keeping yours
Hmm.
alive, but you're also making this new tribe of people. So I liked how that hope rose up. And that would have been enough. As far as like again, not needing his heart to melt for Sciona. The
I will say I appreciate that the sort of like remembrance of Sciona or whatever, like he wasn't completely ineffectual after she died.
Mm.
Like it was a this was a moment in time. What could have been maybe could have been something nice, but not in the situation that we were in. So whatever. Um, and it wasn't like he's gonna be broken from having lost her, if that makes sense. Like I think
which
like
is
that.
good because they knew each other for 3 months.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. But I feel like it had the potential to be one of those really annoyingly sappy, like I'm never gonna get over her, even though I only knew her for 3 months kind of things, which
And yeah, and instead he kind of has that moment where like he raises a fist or something to her as they pass the
yeah,
boundary, and it's like to
yeah,
hope or something.
right.
Yeah, where they have that nice little moment, although she's
Yeah.
already super dead by then.
Oh, Dad.
For Siona's point of view, I will say, as you know, I like
Love
that
it.
we have repercussions or whatever, we have fallout to our decisions.
Hmm.
I liked that I was very interested. I was wondering if she had like taken an anti-poison or something because
To get out of jail free card.
the way the magistry likes to put their traitors to death is with the sleeping death, which is just a poison you drink and then
Oh,
they watch you die in front of you. So it's like, did she take something or is she just really like accepting
I did
this?
wonder that too.
No, she's just accepting it. But in that moment, she's waiting for Tommel to hit the last key to activate that. And he's listening to the radio, so he knows the fallout. He knows she's not going to get out of there free or whatever with her life. So it's up to him to press the button. And this was another moment. Like there were moments where I appreciated in this story the fact that he was so torn up about this decision and the fallout of it. He was like, Kara, I need to know what you think because this is actually going to affect you. Like I'm dying. Like he's not dying, but he's like, I'm older, right? But it's your generation that's going to suffer. And she's like, fuck it, kill them all. You know? Awesome.
We'll talk about her later.
But I liked that Sciona's final moments, she sees the blight start ripping apart those who have judged her, right? And as she's accepting it, she's already accepted death. She still has that moment, though, which was frustrating and unneeded, where she's like, I don't know if he did this because he loves me or because he
Mm,
hates me. It's
that
like,
was annoying.
shut the fuck up, girl, and just
Yeah.
die with some dignity.
Yeah. I will say that I applaud the ace up her sleeve of that spell. I
Yeah,
think that it's massively poetic justice, massively poetically whatever. You know what I mean.
I do.
It's great
Yeah,
that all of those men who were trying to claim that they were doing this for the good of their chosen people got ripped to shreds by the very magic that they were wreaking on everyone else. Fucking awesome. Fuck those guys. And her dad. That was a sick moment where she was like, "Hi, father," and everyone
yeah.
was like, "Brrr." Um, yeah, I think that Wong has done a really good job sort of like layering everything. It's a very full of depth. It's very deep. All of this
So
stuff.
to me, and this is getting into a little bit of my scoring, but like I was very upset at a lot of this book. But and like I think you can feel that coming out in this conversation. I think we're a lot more emotional than we normally are as we speak of these things. And it's because like
The
you kept hitting
parallels
us
are too real.
you kept hitting us over the head with it. And
Yeah.
like I think as when you look at it and you hope if this was I always try to picture myself as the main character. And if I'm looking at myself as Sciona, I'm like, I hope I wouldn't feel this way. And if you keep telling me I would see it this way, I'm gonna be mad at myself. I'm gonna be mad at her. I'm gonna be mad at everything. Um, so like that frustrated me for so long. I do think the third act, and at least that she and Tommel and Kara decided to do something, like it wasn't going to be status quo from here
Yeah.
on. That definitely brought the book back some for me.
It's like a hard reset on the relationship between the Tiran and the Kwen, what she's done.
And but it's interesting that it's like the fallout is going to fall on the Kwen. Like as you see
Oh,
that
yeah.
tribe of people running away, they know it's not going to get better for them. They're going to be blamed for this. And
Yeah.
they even say like as Tommel and Kura are trying to make it to that group first, they're just attacked by people like who are kind of dressed as guards. We'll call them ICE agents who just
Oh,
attack them and try to kill Tommel for no reason. He's saved by the other passing Kwen. I think he breaks his arm or something. And like as they're,
yeah.
they see that the violence is coming because even though obviously a Kwen couldn't have devised this magic to do this, it's going to be them that are blamed.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that it's like when during all the like Black Lives Matter protests when like property was destroyed, like things were set ablaze, like that was then used as the justification for coming down hard on riot cops and whatnot. Like it's the same kind of thing of like you're the people who are reacting to a situation are going to be blamed because then they're violent.
Right.
And I think from a societal standpoint to reiterate your point, like the tyrannish people, the average person is going to be so caught up in what they've been taught and told this whole time that there's no way to change the narrative of, oh, it's actually our people who are bad.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
And to be fair to Wong, she also points out, like, because we see it with the bakery being destroyed,
Mm,
like those weren't bad people.
mm-mm,
They treated Quen equally,
mhm.
but it is like also in this the innocents will be they will suffer as well.
Well, and like not for nothing, yes, they treated people equally, and like the one brother that committed suicide, like was doing so because he couldn't stomach sending these Kwen out to die again. And like, did that narrative ever get shared? Probably not.
No.
Like,
Yeah, because
or there's gonna be like the, oh, you're a Kwen sympathizer, and like,
right, nobody wants to hear it. Nobody cares about
nope.
them. They're lesser to the point where like as they're doing because the whole thing with the noon assault on the
Mm,
magic system is they had to go and like put in different spell paper into that big basically I think it was like 50 typewriters is to put it in a layman's terms. So Kara and Sciona go to do that, and while they're doing that, Sciona decides to go like sneak into like the head mage's room to kind of do some snooping and spying and stuff. And they come back while she's there, so she like pretends to clean the floor.
the
And it's
carpet.
not until she's like told to get the hell out of there, basically, that she realizes she's cleaning a carpet like she would a wood floor. And nobody has noticed her because, again, just really reinforcing that point that not only are they lesser, but they're completely beneath your observation.
Yep.
So, well, that
Nope.
was,
Oh, I want to like just, I mean, maybe we have already touched enough on this, but I think that Wong's choice to have Sciona die in that, I don't want to call it epic, but it probably looked really fucking epic. But just she already taken the poison, so she was gonna die. There's that. Also, she was already effectively ready to commit suicide earlier, so there's that. But just to have that main character be, I guess, sacrificed in that way is, I don't want to say satisfying because that's not quite right, but I think it is kind of abnormal in these stories.
I think it was finally her putting herself above or putting others above herself.
Yes,
And
sure.
like we did
Yeah.
see that, to be fair, we did see that growth of her as even like with the head janitor. She like
Yeah.
asks him
Oh,
what his tribe was and like what his name is, and like she
and
actually
then
like sees him as more of a
told him to
person.
stay home, like left him that note, like
Yeah.
don't have any of your people come in. Like she actively helped someone else.
Yeah. And so I appreciated that. There was a lot of character growth for Siona there
Yes, yeah.
eventually. I do think
It,
it happened real quick in like the
it did
last two
take a
weeks of her
while.
life. But to be fair to her, like the fact that she took the sleeping death just meant that the blight wasn't as painful. Because she even mentioned, she's
Yep.
like, I already don't really feel my extremities as
Fucking
I'm just
sick.
watching them spiral off my body.
Yep, they did me a favor.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. One less for the women.
Yep. Although it would also have been, I think, a little satisfying for her to get to watch it happen to all the other people,
She did
especially her
say
dad.
she got to see quite a few of them. She did point that out. So
Yeah, that was nice for her. Happy for
interesting,
her.
interesting final moment.
Yeah.
So on to something more fun. Before, I think we should end with Kara because she was actually fun. Let's get
So
Brent
talk about Renthorn first.
out of the way. So her like colleague that she has to deal with the most is High Mage Renthorn, who is shockingly a piece of shit. And we decide that if it's not bad enough that he's been demeaning her and like sabotaging her and trying to do everything he can, let's add a rape scene in there as well as he forces himself onto her
In
towards
a
the end.
library. Rude.
Was that?
In a library.
Yeah, libraries are supposed to be sacred.
Yeah.
I can tell you from my experience, I fucking hate when we put this shit, and I know it happens, and it's
I was honestly
terrible.
expecting it to happen more than just that time. So,
And it was just like we already he had already proven time like this was he was already a rotten ball of shit, and
yep.
now he's just like a super rotten ball of shit. Like
Yep.
yeah, it was
Like sociopathic levels of not even just like the whole rape thing aside, just the sociopathic like joy that he got because he did know what the blight is and how they were killing people and he fucking liked it.
yeah.
Um, what a really good evil dude. Um, I was annoyed that he wasn't in the mage hall,
Yeah.
but I also appreciated that he got his comeuppance anyway, and that Tomo got to be involved in that, and I I love that for
It
them.
felt more poetic, the
Yeah.
justice, that he got his face bashed in with one of the spell typewriter things, whatever they were called, spellcasters or whatever. I did
Telegraph.
think that was a more fitting end to him. But yeah, no, just him in general, like the fact that she was already being treated like shit by everybody, but we had to, like, it's the Malfoy or whatever. We have to have like one very specific piece of shit, and he's fucking 30 times worse than Malfoy. That is really pointing out um, just how terrible men are. And it was just, again, like, it had already been really pushed down on us. So that moment in the library, I was like, okay, this is just literally icing on the shit cake. Like, in case you wanted to know, yes, he does this too.
Yeah, I think that the misogynistic levels of this society in general are so high, that I was mildly surprised that he's not the only rapist or wasn't the only one that we heard about. I honestly expected her mentor to be um coming out with some weird, I'm just not really pedophilia. She's like in her 30s. But like I just didn't expect. I mean, and annoyingly, that's what everybody assumes, that she slipped her way to the top, which is
Yeah.
oh, so typical to say of powerful women. Um, and it just, again, the parallels that she makes, and we try. I don't know if we talked about this actually on the podcast, or it was just before, where it was like, is it satire or is it something different? If it's there's a different word, hey listeners, all two of you, if there's a better word for that, tell me what it is. I probably could just Google it. But the calling out effectively of our society that she does in this book was painful and yet satisfying,
Mm.
because it just, if that makes sense, like she puts such a spotlight on all of these things that you're like, oh damn. Like that is so fucking real. So real.
Yeah, I agree. And that, it, again, yeah, I don't know if that adds to just the
Mm.
upset nature as you're reading it, as you are just thinking of parallels or examples in our world of these situations. But yeah, it was maybe just a little too like touching
It was very,
the
yeah.
fresh wounds.
The nerves.
Yes, yes, the hot nerves.
Exposed raw nerves. Yeah, Renthorn was a fucking piece of shit. I have
So
whole
let's end with something nice.
Okay, Kara.
Let's talk about Kara. What'd you think of Tommel's niece and fake daughter?
I wrote she is favorite.
Yeah,
Um, her just like complete honesty at all times, like totally speaks her mind. Honestly, strong female lead I love to see.
yeah,
That that is skilled, is smart, um, isn't going to beat around the bush. Um, fucking tried to stab Sciona the first time she met her. Love that. I also really loved, from a character growth standpoint on both of their sides, her and Siona's relationship. I wouldn't say that they were friends at
yeah,
the end by any stretch. They were grudgingly accepting of the presence of the other. I mean, obviously, Siona's was a little more, um, she was wanting it a little bit more. She like
yeah,
I think, I don't think they wanted to be friends. I mean, so, Kara's a child comparatively. Um, but I think that attitude that she has is so refreshing, and that Siona can recognize that is great, and is the character growth aspect of like her situation with Tomo, like learning that these people are people.
yeah. I loved her spark. Like she was
Yeah.
just so ready to do everything and anything, and wasn't afraid to be who she was. Wanted to
Yeah.
carry on the memory of her parents as she had learned from her uncle. Like everything about her was just perfect.
And what Siona had said to Tomo towards the end there about, giving him kudos for having raised Kara the way he did. And, we were talking about it before, like he was questioning whether he was doing the right thing by her, by their people, whatever, everything. Um, and to have that recognition, oh, I'm gonna cry about it. To have that recognition for him was really good. I mean, she is such a testament to him and to their people, and I am gonna cry. It was really good.
Yeah, and I liked how she held on to that anger. Like it wasn't that she was this perfect, forgiving, whatever. She existed in this world the best she could, and she kept receipts.
And she used them. She cashed in on that stuff.
And so I appreciated that when she was supposed to run away when they were getting cornered, whatever, and she comes in and bashes fucking Renthorn's head in. When she tries to stab Sciona, as you pointed out, and she's only stopped by her uncle. And she, as you said, like she even surprises Sciona when she goes off on her little side mission to find whatever in the high archmages, whatever. And she comes back, she's like, "We gotta go right now. Like whatever you've done is good enough." She's like, "I've done them all.
Them all.
It's pretty fucking easy,
I'm,
Sciona. Like,
I'm fucking capable.
would you think I'm dumb? I fucking have 7 jobs right now, you
I
bitch."
bet. Yeah.
So, and I loved her relationship with Tomo where they didn't lie to each other.
And I also appreciate how there are so many times like when Tomo first tells her what he learned, which is a normal fucking human reaction to tell the people that you, well, I guess Sion doesn't care about people, to tell people what you discovered, how he has this sort of second guessing moment of like, have I just been extremely selfish and put this weight on her as well? She's a child, she doesn't deserve this. And she's like the yell, oh my God, I'm gonna cry again. Like she is such a good representation of more fortitude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the quiet strength. And then
Yeah.
realizing like to meet the or to like how do you put this? To have the reason for why you lost your parents be
The
so
explanation.
shitty.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine having that weight put on you at whatever she is, 13, 14.
But also like like you said, she keeps receipts, so she's gonna like roll all the feelings about how shitty that is up into something that is um exertable.
Yeah. Someday she's gonna tear that barrier down.
Fuck yeah. The second book, ML Wong, get on it. Kara's comeback.
Just about her, nothing else. Nothing else needs to be said. Maybe make it a novella.
I mean, honestly, like the way that she did that prologue, I'm not surprised she has so many like novella short stories, whatever. Like
Yeah,
she can do some shit.
it was powerful.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. Just like all the chuckle fucks in that city. Like I just
Well,
no.
even the
Not gonna
fucking
be on.
guy, the guy who comes to like get her and bring him, the other mage, out of
Oh
jail, and
yeah,
he's
with
like,
his weird ass car. What
my
the fuck?
souped up car that now I can hit people with and not feel bad. Cool. I can just run people down.
I fully pictured him driving a Cybertruck. I mean, they were describing it as something like totally ridiculous. And I was like, all right, it's shit from a butt. Here we
Nice.
are.
Nice. So on that note, we're going to move out of spoilers and moving out of spoilers, but we're not quite done with the book. We have to finish with our grading system. We do this based on the D&D D20 scale. So 1 is bad, 20 is good, and then we add or subtract a characteristic, skill, ability modifier from the game Dungeons and Dragons that we think best fits this book. We alternate every episode. So this time it is my turn to go first. And for me, I waffled on this, so I think it's pretty perfect that it's going to go right down the middle. I'm going to give this a 10.
Ooh.
Like there's a lot of
Ooh.
situations here that like upset me, right? Like the whole fucking big twist wasn't a big twist, but as we kept talking about it, at first I was like, I'm gonna give it less. I'm gonna give it less. But then as we're talking about it, we're getting upset about it. Like she gave us a lot of emotion in this story as you're reading it and kind of putting it towards what we're living through. And there's credit that has to be given to that. There's something to say about the writing there. So well, like maybe you could have disguised the twist better, and because of that, I'm going to take away a shit ton of points. Like I don't like that I knew that hundreds of pages before our characters knew that.
I felt so good that I knew that hundreds of pages before. I did.
No, man, because you knew it was going to be like that big thing that was coming, and like I don't know. But you're also a spoiler queen, so
I do. I am a whore for them. Yes.
yes. I'd put it a nicer way.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'm giving this middle of the road 10 because I think a lot of people might actually enjoy it more than I did, and the writing was good.
Hmm.
And again, like I pointed out, the third act or whatever, the ending really kind of brought it back some points. I think it would have been a lot less. Like when I tried to rate it on Goodreads, I was like, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Again, middle of the road. I think if that ending had kind of laid flat or we didn't have the whatever
Fine.
ramifications that we did, it probably would have ended up being closer to like a 7 or something. So definitely had a good swing of points at the end. I'm giving this a +1 for religion.
Shocker.
I know, because I just felt like it was such a heavy-handed thing. I feel like this whole podcast, it would be episode 104, the one about religion. Because I feel like it's been such a fucking heavy-handed thing that we've been discussing, but when you keep throwing it in our faces about how you perceive what you're doing, and if you are doing wrong, but you think it's God's will, it's okay, etc. Like to see somebody try to break down that barrier, to see how much Tommel had to like pound on that door to get Sciona to see that what was really happening here and kind of understand the history of his people and how that might matter in the history of her world. And again, as you pointed out, history is written by the winners. So maybe what she's been taught and force fed and propaganded for so long isn't exactly true. But I think, as we've been saying, there's a lot of parallels you can bring to our world. For me, I'm going to harp on that one. So, and it's also one I feel like isn't used quite as much by us in the podcast. So, for me, it's a 10 +1 for 11. I think there's people that would probably enjoy this more, especially if they can get over an early spoiler that switches the book. And it was still, again, just by how emotional we've been in this, it was obviously really good writing. So I feel like it deserves a little bit better than the other ones that I drag through the mud and say I got nothing out of.
I am gonna rate it extremely differently from you. Um, I totally understand your basis for this and the logic behind it. And I respect it. I am giving it a 16 straight roll. Um, while there are bits that were annoying, and dry, I think that the the writing was very good, as you said. That prologue, fucking cake. Um, and the just I couldn't get over how many feelings it made me feel with the parallels of our own reality. And I think that that's what I keep coming back to. Like I've even told people about the book because I think that it has enough um there's a fucking better word. I've had enough beer that this is not coming to me. I am, by the way, drinking this.
Drinking the keg.
Drinking the keg. It's almost empty, so I'm doing great.
Nice.
Um, but I, not just from this podcast, by the way, all week long.
Nice.
Um, but I think that there's enough, oh my God, reticence is the only word that's coming to mind, and that's not the right word. Anyway, it's important. This kind of calling out is important. And I think that as a woman, reading something where women are so blatantly second-class citizens is good and not humbling's not right either. God damn it.
You're
Words
hoping
are
it's like eye-opening. Yeah?
yeah. It
Like
like
representation, maybe?
representation, it really pulls to the surface all of the feelings that you might be feeling about your current situation in a way that's like it's just so some of the things she points out are like some of the things that you me and or you women in this society probably deal with on a regular basis but brush it away because it's normal or whatever, and like to read about it in such black and white terms is so eye-opening. It's so um it's gnocchi floating to the top of a boiling pot. That was a weird one. I just think it's salient. That's it. That's
That's
the word.
worth the YouTube subscription right there. If you could see Taj's face while she came up with Salient.
Salient. But I think that it's really important to be um like fed those kinds of cues and things from other resources. I don't know if this is making sense. So that they're what you experience might be more obvious to you in the moment. Anyway,
I
so
get what you're saying, if that
okay,
helps.
great. That's awesome. It does help. Um, so yeah, I think writing was really good. The characters, they were okay. I mean, Sciona has her problems, but I think that she was written correctly for the situation. I appreciate, like you said, Act 3, how it wasn't like a bows on bows on bows. Um, there was a weighty consequence to the choices made. Um, and it also wasn't left like everything's hunky dory. Like the future could be kind of meh or hard or not great or whatever. Um, and I can appreciate that. I think her world building and her history and all of that was great, very well done. And I do agree that there's tons of people who would probably appreciate this kind of story. Historians in particular might like it and might see even more parallels than I am seeing. Um, and I'm gonna give it a +2 for Arcana. Because I think that while the magic system was unfortunate, in its murdery bits, I think that I very much appreciated the innovation she had of the sort of technicality of it. It felt um like a weird hybrid combo between like a magic wand and like a code, somebody who writes internet code.
Yeah.
And I liked that it was something new and different, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that magic systems that have consequences or a cost that is heavy. This one was a bit rough, but I applaud the um, fuck courage. I applaud the courage to go there, to go that far. I'm having a real big struggle here. So yeah, that's an 18 total.
So I appreciate what's happening here.
Mhm.
So
This is
from
the first
a
game I've
grade,
given to.
that's a combined 14 and a half. I will say that like as I sometimes struggle with this too, where when I'm reading, like it upsets me when I'm hit over the head with these things about how shitty men are or
Any.
society and all that stuff is. And I think you put it properly there, where like for you, it's more about the representation thing, where it's bringing it to the forefront, where it's saying like, hey, this is happening, and where like I know it's happening, you've lived through it happening. Like again, it's like a little bit of that privilege that I don't understand as much because I don't have to go through it. So I'm really glad that you've got more of I don't know, like a connection with it, I guess. And I'm not saying like that's the part. I was like, oh, I'm bummed out about women, what they go through. But no, I think it's interesting how our different perspectives play out and how we receive this book.
And I think it it makes me think of, and I'm obviously, if this whole podcast wasn't a clue, and not a religious person, but it does put to the forefront potentially having somebody who is religious reads this book and thinks about the correlation between their religion and the teachings of their religion and what that means for others. I'm talking in a colonizer sense
Yeah.
specifically. But like, when you're in it and you're seeing it in your um parables and all of your actual religious teachings, you're blind to it. When you're seeing it in a different, same shit, different day kind of thing, where it is beating over the head, and it did happen a lot. But I feel like perhaps that's with a purpose of getting somebody to say, to look at this and be like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And then
Yeah.
be like, oh shit.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't. Oh.
And I think there's a difference too, just in case anybody's still listening who's been offended 1,000 times based on our views on religion. I think there's a difference between religion and faith. And
Or
I heard,
spirituality.
what's that?
Or spirituality.
Yeah, but and like I think you can have religion, like you can have a faith in your religion where
Yep.
like it means something for you.
Mhm.
And I have no problem with that. It's when you force that on other people.
Yes.
And I think that's the problem with our religious is too or with our religions is too often we see it as a point of difference and we see it as a point of conflict. And it's like, well, your God can't exist because it's my God. And like if you don't understand that, I will fight you. And I'm not saying
And
it's
it
always that way, but it is enough.
Well, and it so often becomes an othering, like you're saying. It's either these chosen ones
Yeah.
who know the truth and these other people who have decided not to accept the truth. I
Yeah.
have a fundamental issue with that, and which I feel like is generally the case with singular deities situations. Um, it's an othering process with uh, multiple deity situation, which often tends to be indigenous cultures or religions, has I don't know, I it's so much more accepting. It's so much more open-minded, open-hearted. Um, and I think that if humanity wants to get together and kumbaya this bullshit, um, the polarizing religion aspect, the organized religion aspect is not the way to achieve that.
Yeah.
Soapbox.
Don't attack others for their beliefs. Again, it's like
Exactly.
everything. If they're not affecting you, you know.
Like, you don't like gay marriage, don't get gay married. It's not hard.
So
That same kind of thing. Just like be open. Just be open.
just love everybody. Everybody
Love
love
everyone.
everybody. That's
Come
what we
on.
learned from that movie with Will Ferrell. Yeah, great story. Semi-pro. That was the only rule. The basketball one. The only rule in the locker room was everybody love everybody. He used to yell it
There's
out.
a basketball Will Ferrell movie?
Yeah, semi-pro with
I haven't
Woody
heard that.
Harrelson and Andre 3000, and yeah,
When?
Jesus, I don't know, like 2010-ish, somewhere in there.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look this. I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Sweet Jackie Moon. Yeah, everybody love everybody. So moving on to happier things. So once again, the book was Blood over Bright Haven. If you're with us into segments, we appreciate you continuing your listening here. Um, that was so again, it was Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. You can find that literally everywhere. Join the conversation. Let us know if we were right or wrong. Moving on with the podcast, we finish with our segments. We do that where we start where we always start, which is current selection. Tasha, what else have you been getting into, reading or listening to?
So I've mostly been listening to other stuff. I don't remember if I don't think I'd finished book two of Carl's
No,
the
you had
Dutch.
just started it. You had finished the Indigenous one.
Okay. I have read um okay, so I've read books two and three of the Dungeon Crawler Carl. So Carl's Doomsday Scenario was two, three was something about a cookbook, and I'm on to four. Um
Running through them.
I'm running through them. Honestly, the Audible version is freaking I don't remember what the narrator's name is. Jeff Hayes, Jeff something. So good. So good. And like I just love Matt Dinniman as a human. So it makes it a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm really enjoying those. I'm on the fourth one. So far so good. The thing that I keep coming back to is I think something I talked about during that podcast of the first book, where I very much appreciate that it's got sort of a deeper layer than just a lit RPG. Like the other, I mean, I haven't read too many. I've read a
Yeah.
couple of other lit RPGs and they're really fun, but they don't have a level of, I don't know, sort of like humanity.
Humanity, that's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, that this series has, and I think that that's they're I really don't know how to describe all of this, but all that to say, I like how it's got a little bit of a deeper layer than just being a fun time. And it is definitely that. And it's hilarious and silly and um all of those things that you'd want in a lit RPG. But it also has depth, and I really appreciate that. And then I'm also almost done with that Revenge of the Tipping Point. Fucking finally. I have like 10 pages left. I'm trying to knock that out tonight. It's been like a bedtime book, and I then don't read because I'm fucking tired. So it's taken me forever.
Yeah.
But I'm almost done with that too.
Nice. For me, I finished book 2 of the First Law series, Joe
How
Abercrombie,
was
before they
it?
are hanged.
Oh no, second
No,
book time?
it's fine. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a little pessimistic in my reading right now. I don't know if I got thrown off with
Blood over Brighthaven?
what was the book we just read before that?
Mosquito Land?
No, I did like that one. What was before that? I don't know. I feel like
In
I've been
itself was the one before that?
the play itself. Oh my God, no, it wasn't that. I remember because I was saying like I needed a win, and so I read something like I don't know. I feel like I'm going down a little bit of a dark hole with my reading where I'm like second guessing or questioning too much, or I'm like looking into it too hard, and maybe Blood Over Brighthaven suffered from that a little bit, but like spoilers of a book in a second book of a series. Like, so Baez and all of them go on that hunt for the seed,
Yeah,
right? Which is a big deal. Spoilers, they spend the whole book going to get it, and it's not fucking there.
that would piss me off.
And I'm just like, so what are we doing here? You
Was
know?
there any even character growth during?
There was character growth,
Okay.
yes. There was character growth. Some
Okay.
of them spit in the face of that character growth as soon as the third book
Oh,
started.
the Jamie
Some of them
Lannister of the
didn't.
shit? Cool.
Um,
Cool.
So, but some of them are regretting their choices too. But anyway, long story long, I read that one. And I was like, okay. I think the problem is I hear like a lot of people say this is like a top 10 trilogy for them, and I wonder what they're reading
I've also heard that.
because it's like it's not that it's bad. It's just not like blowing me away in any way. And like how
I
people are like, "Oh, it's so bloody and all this." And like it's nothing compared to the Shattered Sea series, his
Yeah,
other
and
one,
like that one, like the
Half a King.
yeah, that that blew me away.
Yeah.
Like that first book, I mean, I honestly can't remember specifics of the storylines necessarily, but I do remember being just absolutely floored by pretty much everything in that series. And
It fell off a bit at the end in the third one where like they discover basically
yeah,
machine guns, you know,
yeah.
and that kind of like threw it off because I've seen that in a couple fantasy tales where it's like, oh, it used to be our world, it's our world post-apocalyptic, but then they find a cache of like modern weapons and it throws everything off. I didn't love that. But the thing, so now I'm 400 pages into the last argument of Kings, which is like the third book. It's like 600 pages long. So I'm like there, I'm two-thirds of the way there. And some of that stuff that was like, okay, this is weird or whatever, like, why did we have that whole scenario has been resolved. There's been some twists.
Okay.
There's been some changes, some character growth,
The
etc.
plane might get landed.
That's the thing. But so I'm sitting here the whole time being like, so what's the point? Right? Like we have the fight with Bethel in the north. We have the fight with the Gurkish in the south. Like, what are we like? What am I doing here? Like, am I really
Where's the
growing?
end
Am I
game?
learning anything? And again, this might just be me being a pessimistic fuck. I don't know, or if I need like my brain reset or something. Like, it could be a very good fantasy story, but I just don't. I don't know. I'm not like I don't really
Not as
care what
impressed as you
happens.
expect it to be.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So that's a bit of a bummer. And it's like still like it's fine writing. But it's
Yeah.
just yeah, I don't know. So I'm worried I'm getting into a little funk.
That does happen. I will say it's tough too when like it's hard not to read a series and hit it up against other series.
Yeah.
Even I mean even Joe Abercrombie's other one that we've read. Like I've been having a tough time wanting to start a series because I'd be putting, I mean, I am currently reading a series, but it's very different. A fantasy series, like a typical fantasy series, because I feel like I'm going to be pitting it up against the Bloodsworn Saga. And that was like some next level shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this has been maybe that's part of it too. Is like my whole point this year was to finish my open series. So I'm
Mm,
like just pitting them against each other.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like if
And
I'm
it's like
not
all,
getting something out of this, I feel a little bit take and like with any fantasy series, you're reading fantasy is known to be like 700-page books. So
yeah,
you're putting a lot of investment into it. And if you feel like you're not getting what you put in out of it, like I don't know.
that's demoralizing. Yeah.
I think it's just more the point, like, because again, like I see it online and stuff. People are like, oh, the Blade itself, whatever, the first Law series. And it's like, I would rather read the Gunpowder Mage trilogy. Like, why are people talking about that? I feel like
Why aren't people talking about
I
that?
don't know, but they should be.
They should be.
So anyway, yeah, so I'm reading that. And again, that's the other thing where it's like when we talk about this, I'm like, well, I finished that one. Now I'm halfway through this one because there's 700 fucking pages. I gotta fit other
Yeah.
books in between. So fish shake to the world.
Yeah.
And on that note, we move to random recommendation. And this random recommendation is also half shout out as one of our friends had a family member get a book published. So we're telling you to read it if it's your thing. So the book is Terra Nova by Jack Bouchard. And this is Sully's cousin, who is a historian who has had a book published. It is very, very nonfiction based on what I've been reading about it. So if that is your alley, then maybe check this out. So it is a bottom-up story of the fish workers, whalers, First Nations, merchant women, oceans, and animals who together made a new colonial world in the early Atlantic.
Wow.
If any of that sounds like your jam, this is gonna be a great book.
Do you like history? Do you like fishing? Do
Do you
you
like
like
early Atlantic
this
civilizations? Well, does Jack
is a
Bouchard
book
have
for
something for you?
you?
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's just to know somebody who is actually, or I
Yeah,
guess,
that's
very
fucking cool.
tertiarily know somebody who has gotten their work published. It's an impressive feat, as we've learned through our reading. So maybe that's something that does wet your whistle, as everybody can like whatever they like. So
Different strokes for different folks.
if you're looking for a nonfiction about early Atlantic civilization,
And
check
fishing.
out Terra Nova by Jack Bouchard. And on that note, we segue into what's on the next podcast. We're going back to thrillers. Hopefully, it's a little bit of an LA noir, so we'll see what happens. But on the next podcast, we are going to read Everybody Knows by Jordan Harper. I will say this is one that came across my desk, if you will, because Harlan Coben retweeted it on publishing day. The little thing I'm pulling from is Harlan Coben's little blurb about it. So it's an LA noir novel that is dark, violent, bold, and romantic as all get out. So
I also saw when I got it on my Kindle that S.A. Crosby had a little thing, and I
he
also
did
love
on the back. Just as James Elroy mastered the atavistic heart of 1950s corruption, so Jordan Harper has mastered articulating the day-glow technicolor nightmare that is postmodern Los Angeles.
Wowie.
Thanks, SA. Next time, let's use $4 words.
Words.
Yeah, so all them $10 words you got me spewing out there.
Oh my God.
So again, that is Everybody Knows by Jordan Harper. I bet we don't get quite as deep into religion and everything else as we did this episode. But if you are still here, we appreciate you standing through all of that and our soapboxing. We hope that you enjoyed this. But that means that this is the end of episode 104 of the ABC Pod, the Adult Book Club with Taja and Russell. Keep reading.